What is up, college lacrosse fans? You are watching another episode of the LaxFactor Podcast, and this one we're going to rip through the NCAA tournament bracket. I'm going to do predictions for each game, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each game. Before I get into that, if you want to support the podcast, support the channel in general, you can go to LaxFactor.com and get yourself some swag. We have this t-shirt here. We have a bunch of other t-shirts, random designs not related to our logo. We have these Rampage lacrosse shorts, which some people think are ugly and some people think are awesome. I personally think they're awesome. And then we have the contest winner that I'll announce at the end of the video if I remember. If I forget, we are going to do a live premiere tonight of our Road to the Final Four, Road to the Finals, and we're going to go over what teams have the toughest path to get to the finals. We're going to premiere that at 8 o'clock tonight, so be sure to tune in when we do that video. We are going to let you know who won the reversible and put the next reversible up, so be sure to tune in for that. And we're going to watch it live. It's going to be recorded earlier today, but we're going to premiere it live so people can watch it together and we can comment on it and all of that good stuff. I digress. Let's get into this. The LaxFactor Podcast. All right, so the first game of the day. This game's going down at noon on Saturday at Loyola. It's number 8 Loyola against Syracuse. So this is a ridiculously great matchup. We're going to hear all tournament long, we're going to hear at least for the next couple of days how Pat Spencer is the best player in the tournament, and he is. Now, I posit, though, that the biggest matchup of the tournament, at least of the first round of the tournament, it's going to be Pat Spencer against Syracuse's Nick Mellon. Mellon, one of the best shutdown defenders in the country by far, not even a question. So if Spencer is the best player in this tournament, Mellon's one of the best 5 players in this tournament, if easily one of the best 10 players in this tournament as a defender. He's got 17 caused turnovers, which is criminal in terms of speaking to how it speaks to his quality as a player. He's one of the only defenders that you're going to see in this tournament field where offensive teams will avoid him like he has AIDS. They will not go anywhere near this kid. They will not try to dodge on this kid. Now, Loyola's going to. Loyola's not going to try to avoid him at all. But even Cornell avoided him a little bit. Even Virginia, where they've got guys like Michael Krause and Matt Moore, and Cornell, where they've got Jeff Teat, the only other legit Tewaaraton candidate, I think, outside of Grant Ament and Pat Spencer. Even Cornell avoided him. He held Teat to 2 assists. Now, I say he held Teat. He didn't necessarily hold Teat to 2 assists by himself, but the team did, and Mellon was the guy charged with guarding Teat a good chunk of the time. So that's going to be a huge matchup to watch. Offensively, though, Loyola is one of the most efficient offenses in the country by far. I think they had the number 2 offensive efficiency rating, and that's partly because of Spencer's 94 points. But then on top of it, they've got Chase Scanlon, they've got Olmstead on attack, Lindley on attack. Duffy at midfield. They've got guys all over the. See, I didn't blank on Loyola's guys. I've talked about Loyola all year, and for some reason in the last episode, I just blanked on them. So Loyola is loaded with weapons. So Mellon's going to have his hands full stopping Spencer. They're going to probably keep Mellon on an island early on and not try to help him too much, and maybe let Spencer put up a couple of goals early while Mellon settles in and tries to figure him out. But off ball is where Syracuse has to win this game. They've been playing really good off ball defense, as was evidenced by their win over Cornell, who's an excellent feeding team, and they have a lot of attackmen and midfielders that play really well together. So they have shored that up. And Syracuse overall has been the more consistent team at all facets. So Syracuse has been pretty solid all year at facing off. Their keeper's been solid every game all year. He hasn't had a down game, where even Stover's had a down game or two. Defensively, Loyola has played suspect defense depending on the opponent. So Syracuse has been the more consistent team from top to bottom. They've been the more consistent team defensively, and I think that's just because they have a little bit more defensive midfield depth. That helps a little bit. So my prediction that it's really going to be huge, Jacob Stover versus Drake Porter, because I think both of these teams are going to put points up, and I think the goalkeeper that can win that battle is going to tip the scales, obviously, in favor of his team, but I think it'll be a little bit out of proportion. I think the goalies are going to be huge. I think the face-off X is going to be huge. I think the battle between Mellon and Spencer is going to be huge. Can Loyola hang with all of the weapons that Syracuse has on offense? I say Loyola has a lot of weapons on offense. So does Syracuse. They don't have the alpha male that Loyola has in Spencer, but they have 6, 7, 8 guys that can beat you at any given time, and they can all beat you pretty much off the dodge. Voigt's the only Syracuse player, the only starter and the only real offensive contributor that can't beat you both off ball and with the ball in his stick. So that'll be huge for Loyola. They're going to have to play consistent defense all game long, and they're going to have to not make a lot of mistakes because you're never going to get a series off. You're never going to get a line of midfielders with Syracuse that you can say, oh, here's some breathing room. We can relax on this defensive shift. It just won't happen. My prediction: Syracuse has been more consistent across the board on all facets of the game. They're going to be more consistent on Saturday. Syracuse ekes out a win by 1 goal. And man, I'm just praying to the Syracuse magical gods that they come back and they help us in this tournament. Now that I made myself look like a loser, let us get on to the next game that's being played. This game is the 2:30 game on Saturday. This pits Yale against Georgetown. And offensively here, Georgetown's one of the highest scoring offenses in the country. I think they're actually second to Penn State. Yale, not so much. They've actually struggled quite a bit offensively, despite the fact they win ridiculous amounts of faceoffs. I think the big matchup here, it's going to come down to Chris Fake and the Yale defense, which has been playing very solid lacrosse down the stretch here against Georgetown's high-scoring offense. They've got Jake Caraway, 82 points, Baccaro, 78 points, Lucas Wittenberg at midfield, 58 points. So Georgetown can fill it up. And one of the huge keys here, how's the Yale defense going to do against them? But also, as we always talk about with Yale, T.D. Erlin, 77% of his faceoff draws. He did struggle last week against Penn in their loss in the Ivy League finals. It's going to happen here and there. 77% for him, though, 48% for the Georgetown team. So it is almost guaranteed that Georgetown is going to get murked at the faceoff X. Their goal is to just keep Yale at 70%. Honestly, Erlin could probably win 80 to 90% of the faceoffs in this ball game. That will hurt Georgetown, but I posit that Georgetown's offensive efficiency, one of the best in the country, that even losing the faceoff battle, as long as they get possessions some other way and they can get some defensive stops, I think they're efficient enough on offense to hang with Yale despite getting murked at the faceoff X, which is bound to happen. The other kicker here, Georgetown loves transition, and Yale happens to be one of the better teams in the country at getting back and stopping transition play. They're an Ivy League school, so they play a very cerebral style of lacrosse. And defensively, while they're prone to making mistakes, especially in the 2-man game where Fake's involved because Fake is so aggressive, defensively in terms of transition defense, they get back on D and they stop the ball. So that is going to play into this game. My prediction between Yale's good enough offense and their stars, and because I think that they're going to do a good job of stopping the transition play of Georgetown, I think Yale wins it by 3 goals, mostly because T.D. Erlin is going to will that victory. We move on to the next game, and this is going to be the 5 o'clock game on Saturday. Penn versus Army. Penn got screwed, I feel like, in this matchup. I think they're the 4 seed, and Army is just a brutal draw for them. Now, here's the one big kicker for Army. A big matchup for Army is going to be their best player, Brendan Nichtern. Can he deliver? And the strength of Army is that Brendan Nichtern is their best player. The weakness of Army is that Brendan Nichtern, a freshman, is their best player. I don't know that there's a freshman in the tournament field that will be expected to carry the ball and to create as much offense as Brendan Nichtern is going to be for Army. That's going to hurt them a little bit. I know at this point freshmen are sophomores, but hey, even sophomores are sophomores. A sophomore is not a junior and they're not a senior. So Nichtern, he has to deliver for Army. Offensively, Penn, as good as anybody. As good as anybody. Offensively, Handley, 67 points. Goldner, 63. Matthias, 58. They can fill it up, and they go deep beyond that even. Face-offs, or actually, we'll go to defense first. Defense, Army, they're going to control. Army, because of Penn's offense, Army's going to have to control the pace in this game a little bit, and Army's fully capable of doing so. Army's going to play a good help style of defense. They're going to take care of clearing the ball, get the ball in their offensive end, and then take care of the ball on that side as well. They have to control the pace of the game, partly because Penn, they face off really well. And I mean, they faced off really well last week against TD Erlin, of all people. So Army, the big key here is Penn 62% on the season at the face-off X. Army, not terrible at the face-off X, but not that good. And man, if they lose the face-off battle by 70 to 30 in terms of percentage, that's going to be really tough for them to overcome. They're not built to just fill it up if they're not getting quality possessions. So I think that Penn, that's going to be key. Can they dominate the face-off X? Can they play as well at the face-off X as they did against Yale last weekend? If they can, they win this game. Another key for Army is Barreto. Is A.J. Barreto feeling good? Is he healthy? Is he hobbled? If Barreto's feeling healthy, kid can he can easily equalize any face-off woes that they have by simply putting up 15 to 18 saves in a game. So as long as Barreto's good, Junkin in goal for Penn, he's always solid. He's sitting at a 54% save percentage to Barreto's 59. So Army needs Barreto to be feeling hot. My prediction, though, Penn, offensively, they're just going to be a little bit too much, and I think they will end up winning that battle at the face-off X. So I think that Penn wins a close game, and I think they win this game by 2. We move on to the Cavs. Virginia Cavaliers playing Robert Morris. This should be the nightcap, the 7:30 game on Saturday. The Cavs' key lately, Cavs have been playing well all season. Their key lately is that they've been playing stupid physical defense. They've been playing aggressive physical defense, getting out after guys, pressuring midfielders, staying home but playing well, close D-wise. And from an offensive standpoint, the Cavs are just scary. It's a pick your poison kind of offense. You've got Matt Moore, converted midfielder down to attack, 68 points. Michael Krause, 56 points. Ian Laviano, 42 points. He's just that little spark plug, that off-ball spark plug Laviano is. And Moore and Krause can beat anyone. And that's the real tough draw for Robert Morris. They do not have enough long poles to cover Matt Moore and Michael Krause together. And then even Laviano off ball. But then beyond those three, then you got Dox Aitken, 42 points. Ryan Conrad, 36 points from the midfield. So too much. It's going to be too much for Robert Morris. Tyson Gibson, 61 points. Ryan Smith, 59. Robert Morris, they can put points up for sure, but Virginia's been playing solid defense, and they played very good defense against the last two opponents, UNC, Notre Dame, and I think that's going to continue. I don't think Robert Morris is going to get blown out, and I think that this could kind of be semi-close, and I think it might be a slow spread, but then again, the Cavs could go up by 8 in the first quarter and roll them. I think that my prediction for this one, though, UVA's offense is going to be too much. I think Bobby Moe will put some points up, but in the end, Cavs by 7, either because they get up early and then Bobby Moe just can't recover, or because it's just a slow spread and slowly but surely they put them to sleep. Now we get into the Sunday games. Penn State, we know who they're playing now. UMBC beat Marist pretty handily and looked really good doing so yesterday, but it is not going to matter. I say, why? Why is it not going to matter? Why can't UMBC play spoiler like they did in the NCAA basketball tournament? And the reason is Grant Ament, 23 goals and 78 assists, 101 points. The other reason, Mac O'Keefe, 60 goals, 17 assists, 77 points. And then there are like 5 other reasons beyond that. Then we go into Dylan Folds, 42 points off 32 goals. Spillane, 41 points off 24 goals, 17 assists. Jack Kelly, 30 goals. TJ Malone, 29 goals. Gerard Arceri, 61% at the face-off X. Kobe Canese and Cage. I actually thought Kobe Canese was going to be my goalie of the year coming into the season. I thought he was going to have a 59 to 60% save percentage, only 53%, but he is a capable-ass goalie. And on any day, he can come out and he can put up 15 to 20 saves against you. And then Sabia, Cardle combined for 33 forced turnovers. I mean, there's nothing that this Penn State team is not good at. They are loaded throughout their roster. They have depth everywhere. They have quality of depth to boot. UMBC does not have a chance in hell in this game. I think Penn State is probably up by 8 to 10 goals at halftime, and they will roll from there. So I didn't even give a prediction outside of Penn State by 10 plus. That's my official prediction by the end of the game. We move to Towson and Maryland. This is going to be the 2:30 game on Sunday. Maryland defense has struggled against aggressive teams, and Towson is an aggressive team from an offensive perspective. The two squads actually match up very similarly. to each other. Both teams have big, strong, yet still capable and agile attackmen. Both teams have midfielders that can run. I think the key matchup here is going to be Kobe Smith, 19 caused turnovers for Towson on D, against Jared Bernhardt, 70 points. And Bernhardt's not even Maryland's leading scorer, but I believe he will be the one that draws Kobe Smith. How can nobody's been able to limit Bernhardt. Bernhardt's been pretty solid for anywhere from 4 to 7 points a game, depending on the opponent and the matchup. So can Kobe Smith keep Jared Bernhardt to under 4 points? I think that's going to be key to Towson keeping this close. And then beyond that, can Sunday, Monahan, and McLean, the Towson offensive juggernaut, Sunday, 69 points, Monahan and McLean, both over 40 points. They can fill it up. Then you still have a... I'm not even going to go into it. Defensively, Maryland, they've been better than Towson this year, but Towson, when they're playing well, is just as capable defensively as anybody. The huge thing for Towson, and this is going to be key to them being able to hang in this game or not, it's going to come down to Alex Woodall. Is Woodall healthy? Is Woodall playing? 74% from the faceoff X for Woodall this season. They need Woodall to play, and they need him to play well. Maryland, though, they're not slouches at the faceoff X either. Henningsen and Shockey, they got that duo. Henningsen 60%, Shockey 54%. So that dynamic duo at the faceoff X against Alex Woodall is going to play heavily. If Woodall's feeling good, he can handle them both. He could win 7 out of every 10 faceoffs they take as long as he's feeling tight. My prediction: Towson's not going to have enough depth. They're not going to have enough depth to stop all of Maryland's big cats. The problem with Maryland is their depth. You can go beyond Bernhardt. You go Wisnauskas, who's their leading scorer. I think he has 72 points. You got DeMayo. You've got Bubba Fairman. You've got Dubik. They all factor heavily in every game for Maryland this season. I think that they're going to prove to be too much, and I think that the slow burn on Towson is going to result in a 4-goal win by Maryland at the end of this game. But it's going to be a hell of a game, I feel. And listen, Towson is very capable of just flipping that and beating Maryland by 4 or 5. So don't get me wrong. Towson could prove to be, another Achilles heel for Maryland in a similar way to the way Hopkins was. And I think Towson is a similar team to Hopkins in terms of their attack build, the aggressiveness of their attack, their offensive capabilities, and couple that with a faceoff guy that can win them at almost a 75% clip. That could be tough for Maryland. But I still think Maryland by 4. Next one, Duke Richmond. And this one I think is the roughest draw of the tournament because Duke is the 2 seed, ends up drawing a team that played them to 4 goals earlier in the season, and Richmond's a very capable conference tournament winner. Lanchbury, 70 points for Richmond. Hatfield, 69. Lanchbury and Hatfield combined for 139 points on the season. That's a lot. These guys can fill it up for sure. Duke, same thing. Robertson and Smith, they haven't put up anywhere near the points that Lanchbury and Hatfield have as a combo, but they are a very lethal 1-2 punch when they're clicking, and they're usually playing well, and they're usually clicking. Defensively, Duke is loaded, and this is where I think the tables turn. I think the last time these teams played, Duke's still trying to figure things out. Goalkeeping play was a little shaky. Defensively, between Van Raphorst's 20 caused turnovers, Welsh's 11 caused turnovers, Giles Harris's 24 caused turnovers. They have all the weapons they need to be able to quiet Richmond on offense, and I believe quiet them they will. My prediction, Richmond hangs early, may even have an early lead, but I think Duke's defense will shore things up, and they're going to, and actually, even if Duke ends up being down early, Duke is built to come back from behind. If Richmond goes down by 5-6 goals early because Duke just comes out rolling, Richmond's not going to be able to recover that from that. If Duke comes out and goes down by 3, 4, 2, whatever, Duke can come back from that, and they will. I think Duke by 6 because I think that the defenders for Duke are just too strong, and they are going to be able to quiet Lanchbury and Hatfield, where other teams have had problems with that. They just don't have the caliber of polls that Duke has. The next game, and actually, I missed one in between here, and I think I was supposed to do it first. No, I didn't miss anything. We're right on schedule here. We're killing it. So, actually, though, before I say this, hey, be sure to like and subscribe. As always, hit the notification bell so you're notified when we put more videos out. I'm going to get back into this again. Notre Dame and Johns Hopkins. This is the nightcap on Sunday night. I think the key for Hopkins, and I think why Hopkins is playing better lacrosse now, Joey Epstein and team have finally realized that Joey Epstein is their BFG. And by that, I mean their biggest fucking guy. He's their best player, 45 goals, 22 assists. He's their best player for sure, and I think that knowing this has helped Hopkins. I think as other guys are trying to step up and figure out where do we play in this, Cole Williams had a huge breakout season last year, and he struggled early in the season. I think they were trying to figure out who's going to be the big cat. And I think Joey Epstein has proven without a doubt he is the big cat, despite his status as a freshman on this roster. And I think that's helped him. Cole Williams, though, the last 4 or 5 games, and I keep saying it every week, his aggressive play and figuring out where he fits into this offense has helped them. His 25 goals and 18 assists is going to be key, and he needs to continue to play aggressive against Notre Dame. Ryder Garnsey for Notre Dame, seriously, we're talking about this. Now, listen, I have nothing against it. I love watching Ryder Garnsey play. I just don't see this as being realistically even good for Notre Dame. I don't see how you can put a guy on the field for the first time in a playoff game against Johns Hopkins and expect for that to just go smoothly. I think that you put him in and you take time away from Willits or whoever you're going to end up taking time away from. Maybe they bump Gleason up to midfield a little bit so it doesn't really hurt that dynamic, and that might help their midfield depth. So if Garnsey actually does end up coming back and playing, which I don't think he will, I don't know. I just don't know how it'll pan out. I don't think it'll hurt them, but I don't think it's going to be this huge boost that people are hoping it's going to be. Key for Notre Dame is the known factors. Brian Costabile's 37 goals and 40 points overall. That's just ridiculous from the midfield. Brendan Gleason, 35 points. Those are going to be the 2 big cats for Notre Dame, and they need to play well. A very interesting matchup. I think it's one of the most even face-off matchups of the weekend is Kyle Prouty against Charles Leonard for Notre Dame, both sitting at 59% clips in winning at the face-off dot. So that matchup will play heavily, but this should be a freaking dogfight. Normally, we have Syracuse end the first weekend of games. They're normally always playing a home game at 7:30 because of how graduation plays out at Syracuse over this weekend. So this year, totally different dynamic. We get Syracuse first against Loyola, and we get Hopkins and Notre Dame as the nightcap on Sunday. So it should be a hell of a game. My prediction, and this is the only one that I didn't pre-predict, and I'm predicting here on the fly. My prediction, Johns Hopkins continues to roll. I think Johns Hopkins continues to roll, and I think they beat Notre Dame in overtime by 1 goal. Hopkins is going to need overtime to beat Notre Dame. I think Brian Costabile is going to score the game-tying goal. I'm going full of hot takes here. Brian Costabile is going to tie the game up late to force overtime, and Joey Epstein is going to feed our boy Kyle Marr for the game-winning goal in overtime against Notre Dame to finish this weekend's tournament's games off. Be sure to tune in tonight, 8 o'clock. We're going to do a live premiere of our show that talks about the road. Once we get past this first round, what's the road to the finals look like for the teams that do get through to the next round? 8 o'clock tonight, it's going to premiere live. Everybody can watch it. We won't actually be live, but I'll be watching it live with everybody as it premieres. If you want to support the channel, LaxFactor.com, and you can get yourself some t-shirts. You can get yourself some shorts. We have all sorts of t-shirts, cool designs. The winner of this reversible from TribeLacrosse.com. This will be announced tonight on the live show. And I don't remember if I told you I was going to do it at the end of this show, but my whole plan was to do it tonight at the live show and then unveil the other. But hey, that is it, man. We've got a ton of dope lacrosse to watch this weekend. I'm super excited. I can't remember a tournament that I've been more excited for. As always, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time we put up a video. You can also head over to LaxFactor.com/lamp and check out the Big League Lighting Lacrosse helmet lamps. Your seasons are starting to get over now. So if you have a helmet that you're not going to use anymore and you want to immortalize it as a dope desk accessory or a light, LaxFactor.com/lamp. Enjoy, everybody.